you guys are ready to see something super cool and super neat, I mean, obviously this is a Nefarious video, but this pokey wheel came out in a Sew Along by K&A Custom Fabrics. Now, ideally, they originally came up with the idea of just sewing everything down, but Nefarious is like, yeah, we can do something cool, guys. So I'm going to walk you through into making your pokey wheel into a movable pokey wheel. So come with me and let's get started. To make this unique Kari, you're going to want your front panel. You're going to want your little center icon, and you're going to want to cut out a spare piece of vinyl the same size. Use this as a template. Then you're going to want to cut out your wheel and also a template. Now, I mean, you can totally be boring and just sew this on and sew this as the front of the bag and not have a movie wheel. That's totally up to you, but I'm Nefarious. We're not going to be boring. So you definitely need those vinyl pieces. Then you need to have a 10 millimeter or a 12 millimeter stemmed rivet, or like a really long rivet. And then you need a 5.5 millimeter eyelet set. I don't know if you can see that. It's tiny. You'll also need like a hole punch to poke a hole. Ouch. Tools to set your eyelet. Pens, rulers, and so on and so forth. So this is what we need to make our wheel spin. I would also recommend using some firm stabilizer on the spinning wheel so it doesn't flip and flop, and maybe just a little bit on the small Evie wheel. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Once you get everything stabilized, I even added a little bit of stabilizer to like the center of the front panel. I put some stabilizer here and a, so this would be like the front. I added a little bit of stabilizer to the center here because this is where like the rivet would rub. I don't think it would do anything, but this will just give me a little bit more security feeling. So that's what I did. You don't have to do that. What you want to do next is you are going to want to find your scissors. You're not going to want to use your scissors. These are a no-no. So you're going to want to like grab an ink pen and you're just going to want to fold and maybe give it a light pinch about where that center is and like draw a line as best as you're able, and then fold it another way. Just a slight pinch so that you can get to that center. Now, I am doing this on the back piece of the Evie wheel. And what I'm going to do is right here, I am going to poke a hole. And this hole is only going to be big enough for our rivet. So rivet, and you want to put your, you want the head piece to be facing towards you so that when you lay your Evie on top, your leg is sticking through. When you do that, go ahead and clip, clippity, clippity, clip. Okay, so we can set this piece to the side. All right, now what we just did there, we want to do again in a minute. We want to go ahead and line these two up and clip all the way around. Put that to the side. And then you want your front panel. What you're going to do is, if you haven't already, you're going to fold it in half, just like you did that one piece, and you're going to find your center mark, and then you are going to poke a hole big enough for a rivet. I promise. Maybe. All right, so that can go to the side right now. But what we want to take to the machine to sew are these two pieces, and what we're going to do is we're going to leave our threads long so we can tie it off in between here, in between the two pieces here. We're going to leave our threads long. We're going to top stitch all the way around the circles for both of them. This one you're going to want to sew face down. So if your machine's a little bitey, like mine can be sometimes, so you're probably may want to lay down a piece of parchment paper so that you can sew this without like leaving any kind of marks. So threads long, top stitch all the way around, pull the threads through the middle, tie them off, and then we'll come right back. And I'm just top stitching all the way around. And then you'll repeat that and then tie it off. And then if you wanted to, you could edge coat this and give it a real nice professional look if you were so inclined. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this off and pull these through. And then I'm not going to edge coat these for this video, but you get the idea of what you can do. For the larger circle, I'm going to pull the threads through and tie them off, and I'm going to clean my sides up a little bit. Again, you can also edge coat these and make it really nice. And then we go back to the table. Back at the table, you want to make sure you've got your eyelets, your back of the rivet, and the tool to set your eyelets. What you want to do is you want to find the center of this circle. I'm going to make my mark on the dark side so nobody can see it. So just like I've done before, I'm going to make just a small line there. And then I'm going to go the other way. All right, so once I got my center, that's where I know I need to poke my hole. Being that I'm doing a eyelet, I know this is going to be a little bit bigger of a hole. So I need to get my hole punchers out. Once you get your hole popped out, you're going to want to line up, put your eyelets that you've got in here, you're going to line up your tool, and then you're going to squeeze really, really tight so that they set. Alright, if you have a very short fuse and temper like Nefarious, the grommet holder thing didn't work, so I'll give you a tip. Make sure your hole is big enough, put your main piece through, and then flip it over. Push your facing down and then make sure it's all the way down and then hammer it on a hard surface with a hammer. It's got to be like a metal hammer. You don't want to use anything soft because it'll cut into it. So don't do that. But we're not going to be too worried about looking like super pretty. Just make sure it's good and secure. And we interface it so we don't really have to worry about, doing anything too crazy either. So we did that. You've got your whole rivet. You're going to put your rivet right through there. And then you are going to feed the rivet through here. And then you will put your cap on. Now, if you wanted to make sure it was good and secure, you could add like a little E9000 just to make sure it holds. I'm not going to worry about it. And then you can set this. And that's that. So, there you go. Isn't that cute? Now, when you are making the rest of your Kari, you are going to want to make sure that you keep this out of your seam allowances. So as you're attaching it to the rest of the bag, just make sure that you keep this out. And then just make sure you give it a good hard press when you are done. So can't wait to see them.